We want to do that all over again.
Oh no, that's fine.
Well, I got my tattling experience. When you have twins, you believe me, that goes on a lot.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
how do you know which one's which to tell
You,
which
you
one's what?
don't. You don't. They always, from the worst to the worst things to the little things, but it was everything. It's like, they felt like if they told quick enough, I'd believe them right away. And so it went on. I mean, it went on clear through high school.
well,
It was always tattling on each other, and they were close. They were buddies. I always used to tell people what's it like to have twins. They'd say, well, they can't stand to be together and they can't stand to be apart.
What three words were you thinking of, Dwight?
just wait till your dad gets home. That's not three, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, I did hear that one.
There was a time in elementary school. Both my sisters were older than me, but the next one was 3 years older. And we were wrestling around in the front room, and my parents were out on the front porch. And we fell to the ground, and she had the wind knocked out of her. And I got up to go tell my dad, and he at that moment he comes in and goes, "We need to call 911." And I'm like, "What?" Well, it just so happened that some kid riding their bike out in front got hit by a car.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
And I was terrified that I'm sending my, sister to the emergency room. And I'm like, I don't think she's hurt that bad.
Wow.
Uh,
wow.
so that struck tear in my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does a person's belief about life after death impact the way he or she chooses to live? What expectations do you have of life after death?
Terrence, I just wrote an article for my blog on something similar to this about culture and values and how we have lost. I took it from the 1920s to up to right now, and how that this very thing is that there used to be such a strong Christian faith in any one of the ethnic areas, whatever it be, but there was such a strong belief in life and then life after death, and it was part of what this nation was built upon. And we've gone forward, that thing about life and choosing to live has changed tremendously since after World War II, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and on up to where we're at, to the point where now where people that are attending church and still part of the church family really are not as concerned about, they live first and worry about dying later.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably true too. I mean, I think back in the old days, I mean, they used to even teach about morals in schools, and when you could pray
Right,
in church, and well,
right.
when prayer was part of your morning homeroom or something. So back then, so
I think there's something to that question. If you knew this was your last day, what would you do? And the famous response is, I would go plant a tree. Right? That to me, it, it epitomizes the fact that I'm not I'm not dying, you know. And you think about the legacy that you leave and what life really means. Um, and I think that quote was from Luther.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
oh,
There with Lutheran Men of Mission, they have a retreat. I've been through it 4 times, but it's called 1 Year to Live, and it is really, really good. It's about 2.5, 3 days, usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it's a great retreat for men.
I was playing pickleball with friends of ours a couple days ago, and they're a little older than I am, and she was telling me that her husband's sister passed away, and I go, oh, and I said, well, after a while, I said, well, what happened? She said, well, um, she had this scheduled surgery to take a benign growth off of her bladder. It was, in her uteri. It wasn't even, open up the body type thing. She went in, came out of surgery, said she wasn't feeling well, and passed away within like 20 minutes.
Mhm.
And she had just played, 18 holes of golf the day before. She golfs like every three times a week. She'd had no issues at all. And it just reminds you of how fragile life is.
Yep.
Think of all I think she was 70 or something. Think of all the things you've lived through by the time you're 70, right? All the risks you've taken, all the crazy things you've done, gotten away with it, and then basically an outpatient surgery takes you out or something that was, yeah, obviously some
Absolutely.
kind of an error. Yeah.
All right, moving on here. This is Rick's and Dustin, so I'll read this. A closer look at the unfolding events in 1 Samuel show the people becoming dissatisfied with Saul and David. And David being the great warrior, they want him to be their king, setting the stage for a revolution. In 1 Samuel 22:17, I'm just going to reread the story where Doeg is reporting to Saul that he saw David with Amalek, the priest. And the king said to the guard who stood about him, turn and kill the priests of the Lord, because their hand also is with David. And they knew that he fled and did not disclose it to me. But if you remember, David didn't kind of lie to the priests to kind of protect them. But he said he was on a mission from Saul, so they did not know he was on the run. But as you recall, but the servants of the king would not put out their hand to strike the priest of the Lord. And as we talked last week, the servants of the king knew that the priests were holy men and that they served God, and they were nervous to even lay a hand on them to kill them. But Doeg, the one of Saul's mighty men, if you will, or the Edomite, he said, I'll do it. And so Doeg, he turned and he struck down the priests and killed on that day 85 persons who wore the linen ephod. And then Nob, the city where they were from, he went and he killed everybody in the man and woman, child, infant, ox, donkey, and sheep. Killed them all. So again, he's actually kind of doing to the priest, to God's people, what Saul was supposed to do to one of the, I don't know, his Midianites or who they were, supposed to kill their leader and kill their flock, but he kept the best for that. So that's where we're at. So can you see this? Can you read this, or on my screen? I got some stuff over at the top of it.
I can
see
read it.
Yeah, it's very
Okay,
clear.
I'm gonna get some coffee while you read.
Okay. Why brag about evil, you hero? God's faithful love is constant. Like a sharpened razor, your tongue devises destruction, working treachery. You love evil instead of good, lying instead of speaking truthfully. Salah. You love any words that destroy, you treacherous tongue. This is why God will bring you down forever. He will take you, ripping you out of your tent. He will uproot you from the land of the living. Salah. The righteous will look on with awe and will ridicule him. Here is the man who would not make God his refuge, but trusted in the abundance of his riches, taking refuge in his destructive behavior. But I am like a flourishing olive tree in the house of God. I trust in God's faithful love forever and ever. I will praise you forever for what you have done. In the presence of your faithful people, I will put my hope in your name, for it is good.
Any initial thoughts on this? All right, now the questions, again, some of these are just kind of one word answers, some are not. So I'm not doing I don't think too many of these since I copied it from the 2015. Well, we'll just go through. How did the psalm writer describe the wicked? I guess I should have underlined it.
That would have been a good thing.
Well, like a
Sharp
sharp razor, your tongue devises destruction, working treachery. You love evil instead of good, lying instead of speaking truthfully. You have any words that destroy, you treacherous tongue. And Selah, I think, some translations is transferred, pause in his presence.
Mhm.
It's also a musical term.
In Psalms 1, it speaks to wicked in the very beginning between wicked and righteousness, and talks about in commentaries about thinking horizontally and thinking vertically. When your decisions are made from knowing what God would like you to do and letting you be join the wicked and thinking horizontally about what you would like to do for yourself.
Yeah, worldly thinking, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. I never thought about that before, but that's a pretty
Yeah.
good analogy.
Yeah.
Like that. How were David's enemies a disgrace in the eyes of God? And that's kind of same things I just read. You sharpen your tongue like a razor, devises destruction. This is why God will bring you down forever. Hold still. What did David repeat 3 times to emphasize his point? Must be in verse 5. God will bring you down forever. He will take you, ripping
Take you out. Yeah.
uproot you from your land of the living.
Kind of out of your comfort zone.
Well, at least, yeah. I'm having trouble driving here.
That if you look back to what I just was talking, I wrote about, you looked at the ministers, pastors, priests of the 30s and the 40s. You would go to church and you would leave uncomfortable a little bit. That's today, to keep them in the seat, you don't want to touch that much.
Yeah, that's why, yeah. We won't maybe preach about God's law or what God really wants from us as far as our behavior,
Yeah.
because you don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. Well, I think, yeah, you probably need to feel uncomfortable so you understand why you need Christ.
Well, interesting enough, verse 5 is what Doeg did to the priests.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. Come out of the tent, into their lives. So what was Doag's boast? I don't know whether that's actually Doag saying, why brag about evil? But just that he was going to take care of everything. So according to verse 7, how does David account for Doag's success? It says, here's a man who would not make God his refuge, but trusted in the abundance of his riches, taking refuge in his destructive behavior.
He took refuge in the things of the world.
Of his own power.
He was thinking horizontally, not vertically, right, Gary?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Good application of what we just learned, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the final destiny of the wicked?
Death.
The
Was it weeping and gnashing of teeth or whatever?
yeah, cast into the outer darkness. The consequences of deceit. I think we talked about that.
What goes around comes around.
You know.
You reap what you sow.
Yeah, I think the thing is after you get to the end of this, and I know in some of the other notes I was going to have in this is that, or maybe I do have a question. I didn't comment on this. Is yeah, all of what this says is true, but you know, unfortunately, we don't always see it in this life that the wicked get what's coming to them. So, in relation to eternity, how beneficial is earthly wealth and power?
Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Zippo.
So, how will the righteous react to the downfall of the wicked?
Will look on them with awe and will ridicule him.
That's pretty good and wasn't even underlined.
All right, we're going to continue on in this. What are the consequences of deceit? Well, I think we just all those things we read that what Doeg did to the priest, and it's a God will bring you down forever. He will take you, ripping you out of your tent. He will uproot you from the land of the living. Here's a man who will not take refuge, make God his refuge, but trusted in the abundance of his riches. So, in relation to eternity, how beneficial is earthly wealth and power? And that we kind of talked about that. It's not worth anything. Oh, there's already. Oh, we already had these questions. Maybe copy them over.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. What benefits do the wicked enjoy in their earthly lives? Trust the abundance of their riches, refuge in their destructive behavior. What's the matter with this mouse?
It's the materialism of today. I mean, if you look at what you just asked, people that believe in their riches, they believe in materialism more than they do in God. They worship all kinds of things. They worship their car, their house, certain people, stars. I mean, I go on, but they really have an abundance of things they look to and worship that are really pretty shallow.
So
and do them much good later.
why are the righteous always often compared to trees? Verse 8, but I'm like a flourishing olive tree in the house of God. And there's some other many references to us being in the presence of God. It's like can't remember what exactly the passage is, but like a tree planted next to a river, continuously
You ever
getting.
seen the olive tree in its natural environment?
Yeah,
So in southern Spain, they're everywhere, right? I mean, you drive down the highways and for hours you see just olive tree after olive tree.
Kind of like
And they grow,
windmills in northern Indiana.
yeah, but they grow basically out of the rocks. They're not surrounded by grass and other foliage. It's just this stark death, and an olive tree grows out of it. And some of these trees are 1,000 years old, right? They've been there forever. And so, when they describe life and flourishing, it is the starkness of it's coming from what looks like death, and it provides life out of nothing. And I think that's why you see it, and not just trees, but olive trees a lot are used as this, flourishing. And because when they think of them, they're flourishing out in an environment that you would go, wow, how can anything survive here? And it's almost a godly gift that that tree survives.
you also look at olive oil was used a lot in anointing people, setting them apart. So
So
go ahead.
now this question is really interesting to me because I was just doing a little search. So in 1 Samuel 27, which is kind of right next to what Doeg's story is, David is running from Saul, and he asks King Achish if he can move out of the city and into the country, right? And King Achish gives him this town of Ziklag. And here's the quote. So this is 1 Samuel 27:8. David and his men spent their time raiding the Geshurites, the Grizzites, and the Amalekites, people who had lived near Shur toward the land of Egypt since ancient times. David did not leave one person alive in the villages he attacked. He took the sheep, the goats, cattle, donkey, camels, clothing before returning home to King Ashish.
Wow.
How similar does that sound to what just happened and what David is complaining about?
Yeah. So it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black or something like that.
Yep.
So how is David's trust in God evident in what David does prior to that?
Yeah.
Well, he continues to sing God's praises even when he's on the run.
David recognizes he's a sinner, but he thinks vertically most of the time.
Yeah.
He goes to God. Whereas Saul believed in all his riches and material, and he went to himself. He was thinking horizontally.
So he's going to praise him forever. Just hope in God's name. Let's see what's going on. So what vow did David make to the Lord in the conclusion of the psalm?
I'll praise you forever.
Yeah. And where did David praise the Lord?
In the presence of other people.
So from this psalm, what can we learn about the wicked?
They may have earthly riches.
Yeah.
I know, Dwight, you listen to Gary Hamrick a lot. He mentions, he has, in fact, a whole sermon on the wicked. He talks about they can't be fixed. You can warn them and you can tell them, and you should, as a good, faithful person should do. But after you warn them and you try to disciple them, and nothing changes, you should get as far away from them as you can. You don't want to be part of them.
That's interesting.
Have you heard that one? Gary Hamrick? Yeah. It's one of his sermons.
There's several Bible stories that talk about that.
Yeah. You can pray for him. You can do all those things. It isn't saying that you don't do that, but the point of being wicked and that you got to warn them, which we, again, through what we're talking about, we did a lot more warning in the past than we do today. And we maybe not distance ourselves after we warn them and we pray for them. We don't maybe distance ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, I would encourage you to go read Psalm 27, because the irony of what David did under King Achish, is incredible compared to what Doeg did here in the city of Nod. It's unbelievable because David, in addition to what he did, he told the king he did something else. And so the king was sending him out to kind of take out these little towns that were the Israelites. But David was going to these other towns and actually killing everybody in these other towns. And the king thought David was building up a animus between he and the Israelites, when actually he was deceiving the king and killing everybody else.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it ends up in this irony that Achish believes that since David has separated himself from the Israelite people, that the only place he'll serve is Achish. And when you read the psalm that we're reading now and the conclusion of Achish, it is like the 180 degree. It's incredible. It's really wild.
So this is Psalm 87.
27.
27.
There, yeah.
So the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom should I fear? The Lord is a stronghold of my life. Of whom should I be afraid? When evildoers come against me to devour my flesh, my foes and my enemies stumbled and fell. Though an army deploys against me, my heart is not afraid. Though war breaks out against me, I am confident.
I'm sorry. It's Samuel. It's not this. It's Samuel. 1 Samuel 27.
Yeah.
Okay, what you referenced earlier.
Yeah.
It's a good psalm anyway.
Thank you, Dwight. God wanted you to read that.
Yeah.
Which part were you?
It's not very long.
Oh, it's not very long. Okay.
But I think I was reading. Yeah, start with 5.
Yeah.
Now David said to Achish, I found favor with you. Let me be given a place in one of the outlying towns, so I can live there. Why should your servant live in the royal city with you? That day Achish gave Zillag to him, and it still belongs to the kings of Judah today. The time that David stayed in the Philistine territory amounted to a year and 4 months. David and his men went up and raided the Geshuites, the Gerzezites, the Amalekites. From ancient times. They had been the inhabitants of the region through the Shur as the land of Egypt. Whenever David attacked the land, he did not leave a single person alive, either man or woman, but took the flocks, herds, donkeys, camels, and clothing, particularly spoils of war. Then he came back to Achish, who inquired, "Where did you raid today?" David replied, "The south country of Judah, the south country of the
Jeremiah.
yeah, something against the south of the country of Canaanites." So is this this is not the promised land that he's doing these raids, is it?
Well,
Right.
what he's doing is he actually is raiding something that he told the king he wasn't raiding, and he's not raiding the areas that he told the king he was raiding. So he's deceiving the king.
So he's maybe raiding territories that were not Jewish territories.
Yeah, but keep reading.
Okay. So David and his men went up and raided where was I? Did I stop?
Verse 11, I think, is where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. You guys are doing better seeing this than I am. David did not let a man or woman live to be brought to Gath, for he said, "Or they will inform on us and say, 'This is what David said.' This is what David's custom during the whole time he stayed in the Philistine territory." So Achish trusted David, thinking, since he made himself detestable to his people, Israel, he will be my servant forever.
So that servant forever is in the other psalm we just read, but it's towards God instead of towards this king. And it's really amazing how reflective that those two stories are.
It goes back to, when is it okay to lie? Or is it okay to lie? Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, but I mean, the psalm was David writing about how bad,
Right.
Dog is and what they did in Nog. And he did exactly the same thing. And on top of that, he was deceiving the king. It was just like, and then it ends with the same words focused on two different, well, one is God and the other is Kish. It's just really, really strange.
Well, and then we keep we see all these things that David did, and then he's a man after God's own heart.
God's heart. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I brought
well,
that up because of this. So this Sunday I read Psalm 103, right, at church. Because I was doing it, I wanted to know, well, what's the background of Psalm 103? Is it coming from some story where David's hiding in a cave, or like one of these stories? And Spurgeon, this is what Spurgeon's conclusion about Psalm 103 is, and it's really interesting. He said we should attribute this to David's later years, when he had a higher sense of the preciousness of pardon, because a keener sense of sin than in his younger days. His clear sense of the frailty of the indicates of his weaker years, and also does the very fainness of his praiseful gratitude. As in the lofty Alps of some peaks rise above all others, so among even the inspired psalms, there are heights of song which overtop the rest. And so he was speaking specifically about Psalm 103. The Psalms are obviously great things, like he was reflective to the Alps, but there are some peaks that are greater, and he's saying that Psalm 103 is greater. And then he said, "It is as the apple among the trees of the wood. and its golden fruit has a flavor such as no fruit ever bears unless it has been ripened in the full sunshine of mercy. So these songs and these stories from First Samuel are some of the early, cumbersome and uncomfortable stories of David when he's still trying to figure himself out. And then Psalm 103, Spurgeon specifically talks about the fact that he's much later in life and he's more reflective. And then that made me think of Ecclesiastics and the whole story that Solomon, he lived the life he lived, and his conclusion was it was folly, right?
Yeah.
Anything not for God is folly. And so it just, looking at these 3 or 4 different things and looking at the Psalms and how they're structured, and especially David's Psalms, he changes, right? From when he's young. And what's cool is he is as hopeful when he's old as he was when he was young, but the middle is all screwed up. Sorry for the diversion.
No, it's a good diversion. I mean, it's good. All this.
But Psalm 103 is just a beautiful psalm.
I mean, it's got.
And I think partly part of the reason it's beautiful is because it's the end of David's life when he's looking back at the whole thing and he's kind of got it figured out. And it's not about him.
Yeah, so I started out, I mean, when he was younger, because he spent a lot of time with God and quiet out by himself. And then you're right, when he was running for his life and he had all these things going on and finally became king and had all this power.
And it has a little bit of woe is me, right? In the middle of his life.
Yeah.
And God, come save me. Go get my enemies.
So he had a lot, and he really wasn't. When he got in trouble too, it's because he wasn't fulfilling his duties as a king either. So he kind of got lax in those duties. I mean, I think what just before his thing with Uriah's wife and everything else, it says that when the season when the kings go out to war, and David stayed at his place and wasn't going out with his troops to go to war, and then he kind of got himself in trouble.
Yeah, someone who appears to have everything.
Yeah.
Doesn't have enough. He needs more, right? So he goes after Uriah's wife.
He got bored in his gifts.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see what else I have here. I'm glad you guys supplemented what a little bit I've been able to. What was going deeper in personal reflection, didn't I? Oh, here I did. Okay. Doeg was someone who used people and loved things. Where do you see that attitude in others or in yourself today?
Too often and too familiar.
Yeah. Has anyone ever suffered for helping or taking a risk for you? What happened? What did you feel? Guilt, regret, shame, nonchalance? I don't think we've had anybody that like Amalek, I guess.
I think of my parents that gave up a lot for all of us kids.
Yeah.
But my conclusion wasn't guilt, regret, shame. It was that's what you're supposed to do. It was the example of where you should be. Give yourself for others.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the end of Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, earn it.
Yep.
What's happening here?
You must really think we need to go back and review a lot because we're going.
Yeah.
Someone in the room next door has a mouse on the same frequency.
Maybe.
It could be.
I don't think anybody, we're in a house, so I don't think,
Well, that's good. You don't have to go in the bathroom then, like I did.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we're down, we got the master suite downstairs, and then Abby and Brad and the baby are upstairs, and multiple bedrooms up there. So are you flourishing in the house of God? What is lacking in your spiritual commitment? What helps you flourish?
Well, I'm always flourishing when I'm close to the house of God. It's when I walk away that I have challenges.
And again, this, what specific steps can you take to remind yourself not to seek after money and status? And how can you entrust God one area of your life that you have tried to control yourself?
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Especially when you get impatient of waiting on God. And strike out and do something may not be the direction He wants you to go. So, okay, I think I started some of this, but in a perfect world, well, anyway, the world always fail, and the wicked, that should be the wicked, always fail, and the right should always prevail. But our world is far from ideal, and wicked men often prevail over the righteous. One glaring example of this is the global persecution of Christians and Jews, for example. Every year, thousands of believers worldwide lay down their lives for Christ. David wrote Psalm 52 to address the frequent triumph of the wicked over the righteous, as revealed by the heading, The Vicious Deeds of Doeg, the Edomite. One of Saul's servants provide the setting for this song. In response to Doeg's abominable act, David wrote this psalm. It teaches us about God's justice for the wicked. Although, somebody got, anyway, dyslexic, I guess. Although they may succeed in their devious deeds for the present, their triumph shall be short-lived. Ultimately, the righteous will rejoice and praise the Lord when He strikes down the wicked. And again, this is, we don't always get to see that in this life.
Correct.
So,
Well, the thing that's interesting about that statement is we desire justice in this world. Will we desire justice in heaven? And I think the answer is no.
Because it won't matter.
It won't matter. Yep.
any other comments on this passage? And thanks for Greg and everybody for your input on the other things. I think because I didn't have on this laptop, I don't have my old Bible program. I got the new one, but it's more difficult to find things than what I had before. I don't know why they bought that company that I love so much and then So got
I think it's kind of neat, and it may be why Psalms is such a target for study, is it takes you all over the Bible. Psalm actually is like a summary conclusion of different aspects of what happened in the Bible, and then it's referenced in the New Testament as well. So, I mean, it looks to Isaiah, it looks to Samuel, First and Second Samuel, it looks to Kings, and so when you read it, it draws you into the rest of the Bible. But it's also, each psalm is contained, right? It doesn't depend on the previous, and it doesn't depend on the next. And so it's somewhat easier to get your head around, even though it introduces you to other areas of the Bible. So Psalms is kind of the Cliff's Notes of the Bible that draws you into reading the book like you should have done in the first place.
yeah, you want to know, well, what was going on, and why are they saying this? And actually, the one commentary I thought I read somewhere on this is that it was contrasting Psalm 51 with Psalm 52. Because there was some connection there. But just talking about the differences of the situations between those two. But again, that was all in notes that are on the flash drive, which are back in Harmon. So, fortunately. So yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
thanks for pulling it together at the last minute, because it was a good review, good discussion.
No, it was, and I think there was some other thing. When I get back, when I send out send this out, if there were some things that I can add from the notes, which I thought I had.
So it could have been gooder.
It could have been good. It could have been gooder. Yeah. So
It's just what God directed today.
That's it. That's it.
it worked out, I think.
If you want a great resource, and right now media, and I've been using it, it's Jesus in All Psalm by David Bowden. It's 41 sessions. Average session's 4 minutes long. It's called Psalm Book 1, but it's really good. It really does a nice job.
Right now,
Talks about a lot of what we're talking about today and why it is one of the most used books in the Bible.
so is it that thing on the section 1 of Psalms, or
It actually touches all of Psalms, but it's called the book 1, Jesus in All Psalms. So this is the introduction to everyone that this is all about Jesus, and Jesus is the answer. And also, these people were slaves at this time, so a lot of this was being done. The songs and the poems was being sung to those people that were suffering, and saying that there is going to come a day where you will no longer be suffering. So, and that's in a capsule. But if you take a look, and I think most of you are, but if you're a member of Right Now Media, you just go put in Psalms 1, and you'll see a thing saying Psalm Book 1. There's a lot of things on Psalm, but it's Psalm Book 1, and it's really good. I've been using it for our Bible study.
okay, I'll look at those when we because we've got other Psalms as we're going in
Yeah.
to David. So thing here. So we'll continue to work those in. So thanks for that. Okay, anything else as we move on? I guess Gary, you can stop the.
All righty. I will do that.